Alright, I'll be honest with you. My motivation to film or do anything today is on the floor, but I'm here today to talk about my October monthly favorites, and I'm going to see if I can film this video in record time. Also, my name's Marlow York, by the way, if you're new here. I did my introduction way out of whack. Seems fitting for today's video. So let's just start with the first category, which is books. I didn't have a book for this month because I spent the entire month, most of it, going through and proofreading the proof copy, that sounded redundant, of Trail of Flames, which is my own book. And sure, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Woohoo! No, I'm kidding. Jesus Christ, now the cat's gonna start? Okay. What I did read instead, and something that I guess I've been reading for a little while, is Mother Earth News, which is a magazine that's basically for country folks and homesteaders and people who just like to be more self-sufficient and do outdoorsy gardening stuff, raising livestock, upcycling, for the love of God, cat. Stuff like that. So if you really want to learn about all kinds of self-reliance and country skills, that's a really good way to put it. It's a really cool resource, and it gives me a lot of cool ideas when I read it. Alright, the next category is going to be TV, and I'm just going to make this very short and sweet. My husband and I watched a couple episodes of C-Lab 2021, which I think is meant to be like a spoof off of some old Hanna-Barbera TV show. It's basically this sort of, I don't know, comedy. It's supposed to be a comedy, but to be honest, I don't think it's funny at all. I think it's very, like, corny, badly timed jokes, and just stuff that, I don't know, it has never made me laugh. He likes the show. He used to watch it, I think, when he was younger, and so we started watching a little bit to, like, reminisce. But honestly, I gave it 2 stars because I don't think it's funny at all. Alright, the next category is movies, and I have quite a few of them because my husband was gone for about 4 or 5 days on a trip to San Diego, so I had a lot of time to watch movies at night. Actually, the first 2 we watched together. We watched Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, something about a golden army. We had watched the first one not too long ago, and I think I gave that one like 3.5 stars. This one I gave 4 because although I feel like maybe it is slightly aimed at slightly younger folks, not like kids necessarily, but maybe it's like PG-13, I don't know. I did think that it stepped it up in terms of storyline, and there's a lot more going on, so I enjoyed this one a little bit more, and I honestly remember it more than the first one, probably because I've seen parts of it before, but I gave it 4 stars. The next movie we also watched together, and that was, my writing is very small, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which is directed by and starring Ben Stiller. And this is basically a movie about a guy who lives a very boring, average sort of life, a very safe life. He works in the photo department of Life magazine, and so he spends all his time looking at pictures of people having these grand adventures, and in his mind he has this imagination where he puts himself in these sorts of awesome, amazing adventures. But it's something that he can never do for himself because he's very introverted and just a very boring sort of character. And then something happens where one of the photo negatives goes missing, so he has to actually go out and travel to all these different countries in order to find the photographer and ask for the negative or another negative or something. I don't really know how photography works. And in doing that, he ends up having one of these grand adventures that he's always dreamed of, and sort of gains more confidence in himself and actually starts to enjoy life and isn't quite so boring and humdrum and living safely or whatever. I was a little bit torn. I gave it 4 or 4.5 stars out of 5. I thought it was a really nice feel-good movie. There were some aspects of it that were a little corny in the sort of feel-good movie sense, but I thought it was fun. I like movies where it's sort of get out of your comfort zone, take the adventure, take the leap, do something a little outrageous. You know, I like that kind of theme, but like I said, it was just a little bit corny, but it was still very enjoyable. The next movie is one I watched by myself, and that is Dumplin'. And that's based on a book. I'm not sure who the author is, to be honest. And I ended up giving this movie 3 stars because I just thought it was pretty average. Like, it was okay, but not right home to your mom about. It's basically a movie about a overweight girl whose mother is a famous pageant queen, or used to be. And so she's been in the background having to watch this over-the-top pageant lifestyle, but never felt like she could be a part of it because of her weight. Dumplin decides to enter the local pageant herself, and she doesn't really intend to win, but it's sort of a stick it to the man sort of move, and the man being her mother. And she and a couple other sort of misfit, not your typical pageant queen type of girls also enter, and they, try to, it's sort of like an underdog story, but it doesn't quite end, the underdog way where, she gets the gold and this and that. But it was a nice, again, sort of feel-good kind of movie. It has a nice story to it. It has nice themes, but I think it was actually PG-13, so it was definitely made for someone younger than myself and felt a bit safe. And there were some plot points that I was like, that's really predictable and kind of boring. Like, I've seen it before, just in a different sense, maybe not like a pageant. And there were some scenes that I thought were kind of spotty, like missing things. And it just didn't have the sort of impact that I think they hoped it would, but still a nice story. The next movie I watched is Tank Girl, and I heard about this basically from a sort of feminist humor book way back in the day. Tank Girl is essentially feminism meets Mad Max meets comedy meets what the fuck am I watching right now? I believe it's based on a comic book by probably the same name. It's about this sort of apocalyptic, I have a really hard time saying that word, Earth in which a comet struck the Earth, and so it hasn't rained in like 11 years. So the world as we know it is one great big desert, and people are really struggling to survive, to find resources, to find water, and all the water and power and everything is owned by one company. And so Tank Girl and her friends, they sort of live on the outskirts, and they just sort of pillage for whatever they want, and they take what they want, and they do what they want. But then their little compound is found by the Water and Power, I think it's what they're called, found by the people in charge, and her boyfriend is killed, a little girl that she's friends with is kidnapped, and so she has to rescue the girl and that kind of stuff. But a lot of really weird shit goes on, and I don't really know how I feel about it. I gave it 3.5 stars because the production value left a lot to be desired. Like, just overall looking at it, it just looked like a very old movie. I believe it was from the 90s, but it just felt old and low budget. But I did really like Tank Girl as a character. I thought she was very interesting, and it kind of did appeal to the sort of rebellious feminist thing I have inside me. Thing? I don't know what I mean by that. But I did find her as a character appealing because, yeah, she's really weird and out there, and she's in touch with her sexuality, and she's really tough and smart and just a total loudmouth. Are you coming up? Come on up. Oh god. Ah, my leggies. It's a cat in my lap now. There's a cat in my lap. So yeah, Tank Girl took some very strange turns, and I had a hard time really getting into it and feeling like this is a good movie, objectively. But I really liked the character of Tank Girl, and it was just kind of fun and weird and quirky to watch. The last movie that I have was The Dirt, and I believe this is a Netflix original, I want to say. And it's basically the story of Motley Crue, and it's based on the book that they wrote. I think it's also called The Dirt. I haven't read it, but I think I'd like to at some point. And it's a fictional sort of biography about their life and how they started the band and the tribulations they went through, and then their eventual getting back together and their success. And the members... Really? Are we doing this? The members of Motley Crue were involved, so it was nice that they did have a say in it, and not everything that happens in the movie is 100% true. You know, some stuff was fictionalized for the sake of entertainment, but I still felt like it was a really interesting story. And it is kind of funny to learn which things that happened in the movie really did happen, because some of them you're like, there's no way that really happened. That's way too outrageous. And then you find out they really did happen, and you're like, what the fuck? I gave it, what did I give it? I can't even read that. I gave it either 4 or 4.5 stars. I kind of wanted a little bit more, I guess. No, I think the thing that I really didn't like was the ending was a little bit cliche, easy, I don't know, but I guess they had to end it at a relatively decent spot, not like, here's their entire lives now, otherwise it would be like a 30,000 hour long movie. But it was definitely entertaining, a bit outrageous, definitely rated R, so keep that in mind if you ever think about watching it, but I was entertained by it, and it makes me want to actually read their book and see what else, Jesus Christ, cat, and he won't stop meowing. And see what they actually left out of the movie. And I don't have a miscellaneous category this month. I guess I just didn't really think that much about it because I've been very busy working on revisions for my book and getting that all finalized before it comes out November 8th, 2019. So yeah, I don't have a miscellaneous, and it's been a busy week, and the cat will not stop meowing in the background. I don't know if you can hear it or not. He won't shut up. But like I said, that's all I have for you guys today. If you'd like to keep up with me on my other social media accounts, I'll leave them linked below in the description, as well as links to my self-published novels, Blood of Fire and Trail of Flames. So until next time, see ya! I don't have good props for my thumbnail, so I'm just gonna pose, I guess.